3, 2, 1. Holy cow! Well, hey everybody. Welcome to part 2 of my making one opposed twin engine out of 2 blown ones. This is the Jesse one, the second one that I got that has a good block. Actually, it has everything that's perfect, right? The only thing that was busted on his thing was one connecting rod, and the other connecting rod, while it was still attached, has some damage to it, so I don't think I'm going to use it. Also, the oil slinger on this one was bad too, so I took the old one out of the first engine, and I have an oil slinger for this one. I'm using some of this heavy-duty foaming grease release cleaner, just using it all up just to get some of the grease out of the area. Then, after I use all this up, I'm going to take some old gas that I have lying around that I use to soak things, you know. I'm going to pour this in here and just do a once-over, just to clean the insides of all the metal shrouds and the bits and pieces that were from the busted connecting rod. So, I've got something else interesting I want to talk to you guys about. Stuff that I didn't know. So here are the two blown here's the blown connecting rod from the Jesse engine, okay? I had a subscriber yesterday, I think it was James Condone, who told me that while he was watching the video closely, he noticed that when I pulled this piston out, it looked like a big chunk was missing. And sure enough, he was absolutely right. That there was a chunk missing from this piston. I didn't notice it. This one is the good connecting rod. I don't know how good it is, but it's not damaged there. But if you look over here, some decent damage there. It's kind of bent, cracked. Yeah, it's cracked right there. So I'm not going to use this because structurally, while it is together, it's not going to last long term. Also, if you look at this connecting rod, right, it's not exactly straight. It has a little bit of a bend to it. You know what I mean? Here are the 2 crankshafts. This one is from the first one. This is from the Jesse one. So what I found out was my first one, right? The reason why I know this is because when I took the pistons out, the connecting rods had the numbers 2A and 42 on it. 42 means it's a 42 cubic inch engine. Jesse's is not a 42, it's a 46 cubic inch. They both have rough journals on the top one only. Both bottom ones are fine. So I have to try to figure out which one I'm going to use, because if I'm going to use the pistons from the old one, right, they're 42 cubic inches. I think if I use the 42 cubic inches, right, I need to use the crankshaft for the 42 and not the 46. Also, here's another thing. When I looked on eBay to try to find some connecting rods, I found the exact 46 connecting rod, but it was like 60 bucks used. And I couldn't find any other 46s that were cheaper than that. So if I bought 2 of them, it would cost me $110, $120, which I'm not going to do. However, I did find some 42 cubic inch connecting rods, right? And there were only 13 each. So I bought 2 of those. The only difference in them is that it's not curved. It doesn't have the slight curve in it. I don't know if you guys know what I mean, but see how if you look at it, these 2 parts here, there's an angle to it. The 42 ones are straight down. I was looking through some of the forums who said that it doesn't really matter because they're all made the same. The only difference is that the has to do with the amount of distance the piston travels inside the cylinder wall. Like some people wanted to make a stroker engine where, you know, you're stroking it more to get more power out of it, and that you would need a. Some people talked about putting a 42 connecting rods into a 46, which is exactly what I'm planning on doing to make it a stroker engine. But I don't know if all that stuff makes any difference. You know what I'm saying? But from all the forums that I read. They're all interchangeable. The 40, the 46, the 42, they'll all fit. You know what I mean? Without any problems. Some people just want to make it a stroker engine to make it better performance, so they'll interchange some of the stuff. But I'm not going to do that because I don't care about the extra 5-10 horsepower it may or may not increase. You know. So what I'm going to do is I'm not going to use the 46 pistons because one of them is bad. So I'm going to use the 42 pistons, which are still in that 42 engine, okay? Since I bought 42 cubic inch connecting rods, I should use the 42 crankshaft too, to keep it all 42, as opposed to interchanging some 42s and some 46 components, you know what I mean? Either way, I gotta smooth out a journal, whether it's this 42 or that 46. Either way, I gotta smooth it out. The only difference is, if you look at the numbers, right, of the crankshaft, this says 511 and 5. This is the 42 one. This is Jesse's. It says 511 and 6. That's the only difference it has. And honestly, if you just look with the naked eye, they look identical. Identical. So this is the Jesse engine, and it's really actually pretty clean inside, but there's still metal shavings all around the thing. So I want to put my old gas into this spray bottle when I'm finished with the contents of that, and just go over it once and let it soak for a bit. As you can see, I've got the engine inside this thing that I found on the street. It's just somebody's storage bin, but at least this way the gas won't leak all over my driveway, you know. While I'm at it, I'll just spray down all this stuff too with the degreaser and the gas, just to get it as clean as possible without the metal shavings all over it, you know. Then once that's finished, I'm going to take my wired wheel brush on my drill and just try to clean up the heads, the cylinder heads, from all the carbon. I may have to, I have to take out the pistons out of this engine number 1, because I'm going to use these pistons. I have to use these pistons because this piston is busted, remember? I don't know how much of a difference it would make, but just to be safe, I'm not going to use this one. I'm going to take these out because I don't want to get confused, you know? These I'm not going to use, so I'm not going to clean them. This is a box of crap. This is the sump number 1, which is busted. This is the access plate number 1 that's busted. There's a camshaft that's busted, and the oil slinger that's busted. I'm going to throw all this stuff out. These are the good 46 heads. I don't think they make any difference whether they're 46 or 42 inch heads. They're all the same. I think the only thing that makes any difference is the bore, which I'm going to have the correct piston to, or I'm not going to, but I don't think it makes much difference either. I'm going to use these pistons. I'm going to use the 42 crank. I'm getting 42 connecting rods. I'm going to shove it into this. Oh, incidentally, I wanted to tell you, so this Jesse engine, right? I actually text messaged him yesterday and asked him what horsepower is that. You know, I wanted to make sure that his wasn't like a 16.5, and I'm trying to put the innards of a 20.5 into a 16. Well, I'm so lucky because my buddy John Pruss of Turning Wrenches 85 on Instagram, he asked me, you know, to remind me, hey, what horsepower is the one that you got from Jesse?
So I said, ooh, actually, I don't even know, you know? So he reminded me to go ask him. So I asked Jesse, and I'm so lucky because Jesse told me that this is a 21. So I got a 21 horsepower engine, and I'm using some parts from a 20.5. I'm pretty sure it'll be okay with that 0.5. They should all be identical with the difference of the 4 cubic inches. You know, it's not going to really make too much of a difference, I hope. You can only try, right? But from all signs of the Jesse engine on the innards, everything looks okay for me to put it in. You know what I'm saying? To rebuild this, because there doesn't seem to be any damage other than the busted connecting rod. That's it. So this engine is actually a good engine. It just needs rods. So that's what I'm going to do. So, as you guys can see, did some good soakage, right? And then grinded out all the old gaskets to get the surfaces clean. And check this out. This compressed air thing with the nozzle. Gotta get one of these. It's just a tip, you know what I'm saying? All the shrouds are gone. Pretty clean. Allows you to inspect the insides better when they're clean, you know? If you look at every nook and cranny, all the areas in there are clean and not damaged. And that's basically what you want. So I'm pretty convinced that after I clean this engine block up, that it is good to use. All the surfaces are clean, grinded out, right? It took me a while, but I wanted to be careful, you know what I'm saying? The inner cylinder wall are not scored, they're smooth. Valves are good too, as you can see. Sometimes you can just see, you know. Cleaned out the carbon off of the heads. Best I could, you know, it doesn't have to be tremendously perfect, you know. It's just getting the bulk of the carbon buildup out of that area so that you have a nice place to put your gasket and it's nice and clean and smooth so you can remount all this stuff. So that was pretty cool. Prepping an engine for a rebuild is difficult and it's time consuming. but it has to be done. You know, you don't want your gaskets to leak. This is the back part of it, where that access panel is. As you can see closely, there are like marks in there. You know, so there's superficial marks from the trauma to the connecting rod. You know, bits and pieces splashing around at high revolutions, but that's just superficial scratches. You know, it's not going to affect anything. The next thing I have to do is to, I guess, use this one, the 511-5, which is the 42 cubic inch one. And while I don't have any muric acid, I'm just going to take an emery cloth or a fine grit sandpaper and just slowly go over this area here. This part here actually sticks up. There's like a metal part that sticks up. I don't know. I don't know what it's for. Sometimes you have that, you know. So I'm just, oh, you see, it comes off. So look, I'm just going to try to get it as smooth as possible. I have done it before and it worked. But first, can you believe some nut wants to buy this carcass? But this wheel might be, this tire might be actually pretty good. Maybe not. I was thinking if this tire is good, maybe I'll just keep it, you know? Swap it with another bad tire. Definitely swapping this out, because I have this really crappy tire over here. I'm going to put this on there since you know, I'm not going to give him a perfectly good one, you know what I mean? As long as it's being sold as trash, why give him a good tire that I could probably use in the future? You know what I mean? Jelly bean? I'm not. That's why. Of course, technically, I would have loved to take that button. Those buttons are very cool. Guy's coming out all the way from the Hamptons area. So he's driving a far way to come get this thing. Least I can do is pull it up for him, you know. That is if he shows. I'm only selling this for 50 bucks, only because, I mean, I've got like 4 already, you know, and I don't know what to do with them. Ideally, you know, I would have liked to take the wiring harness, you know, this button, the push button assembly here, this is always busted. I don't really care so much about the ignition switch or the throttle or this stuff like that, but you know, there's a good battery box. You know, if you go somewhere to look for the battery box, you're going to pay pretty good money for a battery box, but I don't know, how often does a battery box go bad?
right? Not very often. But it's a Spicer transmission, and it seems to work, so I think that's why the guy's buying it, is for the tranny. Even though Spicer's no good, a working one's better than a non-working one. You know, just put it outside the gate so the guy doesn't see what I have back here. You never know what nuts are lurking. So there's like these blobs of metal that are on here. And I know this looks a little unconventional, right? But I'm just going over it lightly just to get the big blobs out. I'm not even putting any pressure on it. I'm just running it along there and then feeling it. Feeling it so that those blobs of metal are no longer on there and it's smooth. Wow, it's already smoother. Got those blobs out. Slight blob over here. It's like chunks of steel. Almost like somebody welded it on there. Just pops up, you know? It's way smoother already. I think this is going to work. Yeah, that's pretty smooth right there.
Henry, you should get yourself a vise that works.
Yes, I've always wanted to get a vise that works. But honestly, I don't really need it that much, you know? How often do you need a vise?
Well, you're using it right now.
Yeah, but I don't do this that often.
Well, when you use it, when you need it, you'll have one. Just go get one, Henry.
Maybe I will. Maybe I won't. Yeah, this is really working. I'm not putting that much pressure on it at all. I'm just doing some superficial scrapage. Scrape-age. Just to get the blobs out of there. It's feeling better already. I'm going to find some a strip of fine grit sandpaper. Got this fine grit sandpaper here. I'm going to cut it in a inch strip. I'm going to use some penetrating oil from my friends over at Lucas Oil Products. Let's go over it a little bit like that. Rotate it.
See, Henry? That crankshaft's gonna fall down. You're gonna break it. You didn't have a vise.
Yes, I'll get a vise someday if I see a good deal.
But Henry, you can find one for like $25 used.
Yeah, but I want a big one if I'm going to get it. And I don't want to spend $25.
Henry, you're cheap.
Yeah, I may be cheap. But I guarantee you I don't spend as much money as the other people do to get what they need to get. So all that money that I've saved, I can use it to go buy other stuff.
Yeah, but Henry, in the meantime, you don't have a vise.
Well, I don't do this every day, so it's okay. As long as I can do this, as long as it'll work. Man, that's smooth already, man. So I'm just going to do this for a while. So I've been messing with this for quite a while. It is nice and smooth now. Just like a stripper's tit. Stripper's tit? Henry, you shouldn't say that. What? Is that inappropriate? Is it more appropriate to say it's smoother than a baby's butt? That's disgusting. Anyway, so that was just penetrating oil from my friends over at Lucas Oil Products just to lubricate the sanding, right? Now I've got this metal polish. Also from my friends over at Lucas Oil Products. I'm just going to squeeze some onto this metal, right? It's got like these fine sandy compounds in it to basically help you polish metal. Duh. Cut this strip of cloth, see? I'm going to put some, squeeze some of this stuff on it, almost like saturate it with, you know, whatever's in here. Probably a sandy substance on here. I'm going to just That's right. Whistle while you work so that this journal is smoother than a stripper's tit. A baby's butt. Come on, man. It's disgusting. Pedophile. Anyway, that's fun. So I've been at this for a while. Look who shows up! It's my bro!
What's up, guys? How are you?
Jason from Pattay's Performance. What's up, bro?
Not much. How are you? This is the Oppy?
This is the Oppy. I've been working on prepping this thing all day now.
Oh, God. All right, so I remember the last time I saw your video, I'm a little behind. Even myself, too. Whoops. Oh, yeah, that's right. I remember. If you cut off your head, I'm getting that the original one on the Cub Cadet, there's a piece inside the block missing, correct? So then this one, the block is...
So far, so good.
Okay.
However, after further inspection and a lot of forum research, it turns out that the one I got, that new one there, is a 46 cubic inch one, right?
Okay.
And that one, the one that was blown that I'm trying to fix that has the busted stuff,
Yeah.
is a 42. So we have a difference of 4 cubic inches, right? But the information that I found out is that they are all interchangeable. I've heard of people putting 42 rods with a 46 piston into a 46 engine block using 46 crankshaft. So you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to
stroker. You're going to stroke it.
That's exactly. Holy cow, bro! That's exactly the forums that I was talking about. They were talking about stroking it.
Yep.
That's exactly what they talked about,
Yep.
and that's exactly right. But just to make sure that it's right for me, I'm using a 42 crank, 42 rods, 42 pistons, and putting into a 46 engine block.
Okay. Now, are the heads the same or different?
The heads should be the same.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah. And of course I say should be. Hey, everybody, turn around and show the people the hat you're wearing.
Are you sure?
Yeah, just go ahead.
Are you sure?
Come on, man. There's a lot of.
Okay.
Over here in New York, where it's a blue state, I'm
It is a
surprised
blue
he
state.
doesn't get punched in the face. But I'll tell you, we're in Suffolk County, which is a very red part of New York. So everybody around here are Trumpers. That's okay. I just wanted to show you guys. What's going on, man? What are you doing?
Nothing
here?
much. So I have like 3 weeks vacation to burn up
Whoa.
before I lose it, and I already took weeks already. So, yeah, I just took I have like 3 days off this week, 3 days off next week, 3 days off the next week off that.
Anyway, so this is Jason Pattay. Just came by to say hello. I'm running out of battery.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, and I see that you're up to like 666
Yeah.
subscribers already.
Well, I mean, like,
that's a milestone right there, 666. So this guy Bob from East Quogue, you said?
East Quad, yeah.
East Quogue. He came over and I'm on my daily video blog. And he bought my Craftsman 15.5 overhead valve. This tractor is actually from 1995. you guys know, I got it from Nick from Medford that day that we piled 2 into my van. But like I said, I've got 4 of them without engines. I don't know where I'm going to get my next engine from. So I just figured, you know what? I can't keep this in my yard the entire winter, so I'm just going to practically give it away. So I just put it up for $50, no bargaining, no negotiating. Take it and it's yours, you know. And so Bob came out here with his trailer, and Jason over here from Pattay's Performance came over and he helped out, you know. Some pushing up to his ramp, you know, and so, you know, I mean, I was going to take that push button off, right? You know what I mean? That push button. You know what, man? I'm just going to let it go, you know? You know how I hate to throw away parts, you know, and but it's going to a new home, whatever. He'll get use out of it. Hey, Bob, I'm telling you, man, don't throw that stuff out, man. I'm telling you, you can list it on eBay for some money, you know, and a battery box too and all that, but I'm running out of batteries soon, and it was great to see Jason Pattay of Pattay's Performance. Remember to go check that out. And when I get my connecting rods, you will see the part 3 of my opposed twin rebuild. Not really looking forward to it, although it's a little bit of a switch from snow blowers, and then you go to lawn tractors, and then you go to lawn tractor engines. So it's a little bit of a diversity in terms of the genre of videos that we're putting out. Not to mention, it's the next on my list, you know. So I've got some things in queue, but we'll wait for part 3 when I get those connecting rods, and we'll try to reassemble that opposed twin engine a little bit more. I'll see you guys next time on Mowers and Blowers. Oh, are you on now?
I'm gonna do it now. Hey, what's up, guys? Just stopped by my favorite neighbor and renter, Henry Mowers and Blowers, hooking me up with some Lucas oil products.
Hey, I share the wealth, you know what I mean? We got him some, because Jason's a diesel fella, right? He's a diesel mechanic by trade. You guys knew that. Anyway, I don't have a diesel, so I had these 2 jugs here of this diesel deep clean and this cetane power booster for my friends over at Lucas Oil Products. I can't use them, so I'm going to share the wealth of my buddy Jason over here at Pattay's Performance, you know. Gave him some other little products here for him to try, see if he likes them.
Really appreciate it, Henry. Thank you.
Anytime. Hey guys, support my channel, buy a sticker. Also follow me on Instagram at MowersBlowers. Check out my website, mowersblowers.com. See you guys on the next project. Have a great day. See you guys next time on Mowers and Blowers.